building a better Bay Area for a safe and secure future. This is ABC7 News.
Hi there, I'm Kristen Z. Welcome to our daily special called Getting Answers. We're asking experts your question every day at 3 o'clock to get answers for you in real time. So today we'll talk with an infectious disease specialist from UCSF. There's a lot of medical updates to break down for you. So post your questions on our Facebook live stream, YouTube Live, or check out our Instagram stories to submit a question. But first, we are here in the Bay Area still waiting for the okay to open up businesses like salons, nail and hair salons here in the Bay Area. But that is not the case elsewhere in Northern California. So right now, I'm going to take you to Yuba City, Sutter County. As you know, they are further along than us in terms of reopening. So here we are, the owner of Headline Salon and Spa in Sutter County. You are about 40 miles north of Sacramento. Christy Goldby is the owner. Thanks for joining us, Christy.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so I did look. I see you guys were voted best salon or crowd favorite a couple of years ago, so congratulations. And you are open back up. I see you got a mask, but tell me about whether you have that on. Are you taking care of a customer right now? What is the way that you are going about it to keep yourself safe?
I am. Yeah, I'm just finishing giving a pedicure to a client. So masking is part of what we're doing. I've got it pulled down just so you can hear me. But we are asking clients to wear masks. All of our service providers are wearing masks. We're wearing gloves. We've got the protocols in place according to our county orders, which is the social distancing of staying 6 feet apart. So limited number of service providers working or with the guest in the same proximity. And when our clients come to the salon, we ask them to stay outside, to call us when they arrive. They can only enter the building when their service provider is actually ready to start working for them or on them.
Christy, would you be so kind as to spin that computer around if you could to show us how the salon looks? Give us a little tour so we can see how you're dealing with the clients and the social distancing. That would be great.
Yeah, I'm going to flip this around. So we are in, well, I was in my nail salon. So this is the outdoor area. So when clients come in, we've got our signs up letting them know that they need to wear a mask and to call us first. And we've got a sanitizing station. Our front desk area, our girls have their masks on. That's Michelle. We're disinfecting everything that clients touch. And then we're one-on-one with clients in a room at a time. So we actually have 2 workstations in here, but we're limited into 1 stylist and 1 client.
Oh, I see your stylist there in the chair. That client has to wear a mask as well?
Yeah.
The whole time?
Yep. So we've got people in this room, and they might look closer than they are, but we're distanced apart. So we've limited the number of people in each room. Sanitizing station in the front of our salon as well.
I was going to say, how does it feel so far? I know you've been open for about a week or so. How's business? Are people wanting to come back?
Well, I can show you our lists and lists and lists of clients. It's out of control. Each day we think we're making our way through, and we've got more and more clients on a waiting list. So we opened back up with a handful of service providers. There's 17 of us total. Right now we have 5 back working. So that's probably been the hardest part, is because the struggle between our county and what the governor's orders are a little bit different. Some of our service providers did not want to come back against the governor's orders, but we are in compliance with our county orders. So we're doing everything that they've asked us to do. And it's like Christmas week, and everybody that I know that's in the business will tell you the same thing. Clients are just clamoring to get back into the salon. And it's been busy, so we're just trying to keep up.
You know what, Christy, I'm reading a lot of stories about people driving even down from Washington State to get to Yuba City so that they can get these services. Are you getting a lot of out-of-towners? I mean, are you getting people from the Bay Area?
We're getting calls from every place, mostly Northern California, a lot of just like Sacramento area. Chico opened up, but initially it was a lot of Sacramento and Bay Area. And so just because, you know, we share those same concerns as why some counties are open and some aren't. And we didn't want to, you know, run the risk of letting folks from other counties come to our counties that's been relatively, you know, COVID free. So we have placed people on a waiting list if they're not existing clients. We're certainly trying to get to our existing clients first. and then reaching out to those. But we can't get through our clients right now.
I see. So
but I know that
you're not eager for folks from the Bay Area to come up, right? I mean, you kind of want to just keep to the people you already service.
We're trying to take care of the people that have been in business with us for a really long time.
Sure.
You know, my mom's the original owner. This is my mom, Marcia. She's been open for 35 years, and you know, we've got a healthy business. So we're just trying to take care of everybody locally first.
All right, we're getting a lot of questions from viewers for you. One person wants to know, how do you talk? If you could walk us back to the room where one of the hairdressers is cutting.
Sure.
How do they communicate with their clients with their masks on, right? I imagine that's difficult, but they want to try not to talk because then you have the more exchange of the droplets.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's minimum interaction. So they're coming in, we're either getting color service on, clients are leaving, you know, with their hair wet. So we're just trying to do the best we can. Our county has suggested a 30 to 45 minute contact time. So we're trying to make sure we get clients in and out as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that, you know, I wonder about is, I don't know if you're doing anybody's nails right now, but that puts you in closer distance, if you will, shorter distance from the client, you know, and how do you keep that safe given that you're only about 2 feet apart?
Yeah. Again, we're just doing what, you know, the county has suggested for us, and everybody's wearing their masks and, you know, washing hands, which anybody, I'll show you just what's going on here. Oh, anybody in our industry knows that we've been required to do this. Aside from the masking, we've been required to disinfect and sanitize everything that we touch, everything that the client touches. So anything that can't be disinfected with a hospital grade disinfectant gets thrown away or it gets washed. And so,
and that is a different procedure than before, and a higher level of cleaning than before?
No, it's always what the state board is required of us. Okay. We've always been required to throw away anything that you cannot disinfect in a hospital grade solution. It's a virucidal, fungicidal.
Okay. Karen Lynn wants to know if you're doing facials right now.
We're doing enzyme treatments and eyebrow waxing. Anything that's between less than about 15 minutes. Is what we're focused on. Again, we're really trying to stay with the protocols that our county has given us, which is a 30-minute contact time. So anything that we can do within 30 minutes, we're asking everybody to, you know, keep their masks on. And we're, unfortunately, you know, our state board hasn't given any guidelines. So if something comes out in phase 3 and the state board decides to give guidelines that might be different than what we're doing, we'll certainly, you know, oblige, you know, go by their rules, but they haven't given us any guidelines yet.
All right, but you're going by the 30-minute rule, which is interesting because a lot of services sometimes take longer or there are delays. Yeah. What do you do if someone's not finished?
We're just not doing those services right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when if a client's coming in for color, it's on the scalp color, which we usually can get on in about 15 minutes. They go outside to process, or they sit in their car to process. They come back and we rinse them out. If they're getting a haircut, you know, we cut them first, put their color on. They can go home and wash their own color out, but we're most of the time just washing them here and sending them out with just a rough blow dry.
Yeah. Now, I don't think it's a county requirement, but are you taking the temperatures of your employees and your customers?
We are not.
Is that something you discussed or considered?
We have, and we let everybody know, obviously, when we're confirming appointments, we let them know what our protocols are. If they don't want to wear a mask, we're not seeing them. And if they're feeling sick, with anybody sick, we're asking them to stay home and reschedule. But we have not been, mostly not taking the temperatures because, in all honesty, I've heard from some people in the medical field that those thermometers can be very inaccurate. So, you know, we're just asking them to stay home if they're not feeling well.
All right, Christy Goldby, thank you so much. You're the owner of Headline Salon and Spa in Sutter County. We appreciate the look inside and the information from you on how you've been trying to keep things as safe as possible, reopening for your customers. Take good care.
Yeah.
Take good care.
All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to take a short break on the air, and when we come back, an infectious disease specialist from UCSF will be joining us to answer all of your medical questions. We're looking forward to this conversation next. And remember, we don't take breaks on our live stream platforms. We'll be keeping the conversation going over there.
And in commercial break.
Yep. Folks, sometimes we continue to chat with our guests during this brief break on air, but right now we're setting up for our next guest, so we are not able to do that right now, but that is okay because it'll be a very interesting conversation coming up next. And I'm going to take a picture of me on this monitor because, Dave, look, I'm alphabet green right now. Look. It was slightly distracting, but then, yeah. You guys, I should post this photo on Facebook for you of me looking all green on this monitor that's not color corrected right now. So my question for you is, would you be interested in getting your nails done or hair done right now, or would you still feel like that doesn't feel very safe to you, even if you're wearing masks and your provider is wearing a mask the whole time? Something to think about. All right, we're setting up with Dr. Peter Chin Hong of UCSF. Hey there. All right, we're almost ready to go. Can you hear? You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Wait, say something, I can't hear you. Oh, there you are. Did you see that last lady, Peter?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh, we visited.
What'd she talk about? The nail salons?
Yeah, we visited a woman who runs a nail salon and a hair salon in Yuba City, and they're open.
Yeah, everybody's going to Yuba to get haircuts now.
Yeah. Let's see how your hair is
desperate.
looking. I know. How's your hair? Your hair is growing. You haven't cut it yourself?
Dr.
I used a buzzer.
Oh, okay. Can we have you tilt your camera down just a little bit? How's that? Is that good? You like it?
Thank you.
They love it. They love it. Okay. How much time do we have here with the doctor? Okay, so Peter, 7 minutes first segment, 5 minutes second segment. And we're getting a lot of questions.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
From new vaccines to hydroxychloroquine to new symptoms, there's a whole lot in terms of medical updates since the last time we had on a doctor on this show. So now seems like the perfect time to talk with an infectious disease specialist at UCSF, Dr. Peter Chin Hong. How are you doing, Dr. Peter?
Me on again.
It's great to have you on because we have so much to talk about, and I want to start with the vaccine, or at least the quest for a vaccine, right? The current frontrunner, Moderna, reportedly has success in phase 1 with human patients. So should we take that with a grain of salt, or should we have high hopes that we'll have a vaccine by the end of the year? What do you think?
I'm a little bit hopeful. Actually, I'm a half full glass kind of person in general, and their science seems really sound. I think the first phase human studies seem really promising in terms of making the right kind of antibodies and more antibodies than natural infection too. So I think we're kind of on a good track, and it's much faster than everyone anticipated.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you're optimistic. That gives me a little bit of optimism as well. How about this one? I think this is taken as good news by a lot of people, that a study out of South Korea seems to suggest once you've gotten it and gotten over it, you're no longer infectious to others. Is that right?
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, there's actually an earlier study that that kind of was a little bit more invisible, that showed that when you had 8 days of symptoms after, even though people continued to swab positive, none of this virus actually grew in a culture, meaning that it probably was dead virus. So it's not surprising that that Korean study showed that result. And it's hopeful that even though, after a certain point of time, people stop transmitting to others once a certain period has passed.
What does that suggest, though, about reinfection in terms of you not getting sick again and having that immunity from the antibodies? Is that a totally separate issue?
I think it's a little bit separate. I think that the people who get disease probably are going to be protected. I mean, we know that people develop antibodies. It takes a little bit longer in some people, so 2 weeks in most, 3 weeks in even more people. So you need a little bit more time before you kind of go out and expose yourself.
Okay, great. One more from me before we get to our wonderful viewer questions. Is there a new study that suggests anything about altitude and how high altitude, whether that affects the virus?
Yeah, so there was a recent study that's getting some attention where they compared COVID in La Paz, Bolivia, to a more lowland area. La Paz is like super high. It's a little bit higher even than Mexico City, and looked at Tibet also. And their hypothesis is that when you go to higher elevations, that people tend to have less COVID there. I mean, I think in general, it's an intriguing study, but I wouldn't sort of like believe all of it. The people who live in these highland areas in Bolivia are very different. They've adapted to a certain way over a long period of time by having lower levels of oxygen. So it may not be generalizable to us. Plus, there's tons of COVID in Mexico City, which is like super high up. So it's a matter about the people who are high up rather than just the high up part. So it doesn't mean that we should all flock to go to like, Tahoe or something.
Exactly. I got you. There could be other factors that led to those results.
Because remember when you asked me about temperature once, I thought that COVID really likes people more than temperature, and I still think the same way about altitude.
Yeah, gotcha.
There are enough people there, it kind of like would like it.
Okay, great. I want to get to some viewer questions. Mark Miller wants to know hydroxychloroquine or remdesivir, and does either help as a preventative as suggested by the president?
No, that's a great question. I think I'm keeping an open mind, but again, hydroxychloroquine is not a virus drug. Remdesivir is. And if anything is going to be preventative, it's going to be as Gilead reformulates remdesivir into other ways. So they're thinking of doing maybe an inhaled version, kind of like flu mist, or they're thinking of doing even an injectable version, which can be given to people more easily than the IV version.
Sure.
So maybe as those things get planned out, it's going to be better. It makes more rational sense than a rheumatoid arthritis drug.
Right. I wonder if there could be a pill version too. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean,
Easier.
a pharmacist had looked at that idea, and I think people are a little bit worried about whether or not you get enough levels if you take a pill of remdesivir. But I think that would be ultimately the best thing if we can turn it into a pill.
Okay. From Facebook, Robert wants to know, what would you recommend in terms of ensuring safety and hygiene for clients and employees in a hotel, spa, and sauna? And this is very relevant because before you came on, we actually took folks up to Yuba City where there's a nail salon that was working, and I was wondering about their employees. Any, advice?
So I feel, before I was telling you, Kristen, that I feel very tempted to go up there myself. I haven't had a real haircut forever. I've just been doing self-care, and I feel a little bit ragged. But, there are risks and benefits. I think in Yuba City and the northern counties, there's a feeling that they haven't had many deaths or illness. So maybe their incidence is really low, even though they haven't done a lot of testing. And to get to your question about protecting employees, it's really about how much can you keep that nose and mouth away from somebody else's nose and mouth. It's really tough at in an intimate setting like getting a manicure or pedicure. But again, if both parties wear masks and you can stay as far away as possible while still able to do it, it may be, I think about it as risk reduction, not like zero risk or like all the way risk. So those will be ways to reduce your risk. Also washing your hands, cleaning surfaces. But the main thing is keeping the nose and mouth of the employee away as much as possible. And if you can't do that, wearing masks like they do in the grocery. The other thing that, we've seen in grocery stores is that they protect employees by plexiglass.
Yes.
So that's the other thing that, could be an idea as well.
Okay, good one. Dr. Peter Chin Hong, let's go ahead and continue our conversation over on our live stream platforms. Take a short break here on air and be back in a couple minutes. All right, Dr. Peter, we have a question from Kimberly. She wants to know, is there testing available to everyone who thinks they may have had COVID in December or January? Okay, so I'm going to say at this point, they're asking about the antibody test, right? And is that widely available?
The antibody test is widely available. The problem with the antibody test is that there's so many vendors. It's like going to the grocery and not knowing what brand of cereal to choose. There are some cereals that are better than others, and those that have gotten FDA clearance, they're not FDA, well, not FDA clearance, but they've gotten FDA EUA. So they've gotten some sort of stamp from the FDA, not the full review. And of the 100 or 150 or so tests, I would at least make sure that they've had some FDA sort of oversight, although not full oversight, as a starting point. But we don't know how long the immunity lasts, what it means, etc. it would be interesting, but it would be hard to react to that result.
Okay. Rachel Linda Fernandez wants to know, I heard you can get it through your eyes as well. Is that true?
It's theoretically possible. So in high-risk settings like the hospital, we do protect our eyes. But I would say there haven't really been super high numbers of convincing cases where people have just gotten it in their eyes while protecting their nose and mouth. So it's a potential thing. Maybe if COVID-19 is bored, it will just land on the eyes. But it's really trying to get to your nose or your mouth as the favorite place.
Okay. We have about 20 seconds before we go back on air on ABC7. So hang with us and we'll take our conversation on air.
10, 20 seconds.
Okay.
15.
Okay, great.
We are back in 10, 9, 8.
I do.
7,
Can you just roll
6,
it or
5,
remind me? Remind me. I definitely want to do it. All right, we are back with infectious disease specialist at UCSF, Dr. Peter Chin Hong. Lots of questions coming in. Holly wants to know, has all the social distancing and sanitation reduced the presence of other infectious diseases such as the flu?
Yeah, so there's a lot of good evidence now that we decreased the next most deadly respiratory tract infection, which is influenza, by all of the measures that we've taken for COVID-19. So I think people are worried on the converse side that if we kind of we're not as strict for the next respiratory tract infection season, which is the late fall and winter of this year, that we'll see both COVID-19 and influenza.
That is going to be a challenging one, and that thought is frightening to a lot of people. Danilo wants to know, do we have to be concerned going to a dentist? Now, I don't think most dentist operations are up here in the Bay Area yet, but I think that is very close. So that's a concern that, is coming next for us. What do you think?
I think, again, I would weigh the risks and benefits of what you're doing at the dentist. If it's a cleaning, maybe you can defer it. But if it's something like, a huge cavity and you need a filling, it's probably fine. It's just like going to a clinician, and we've been opening up clinics more and more every time. So I think it depends on what you want to have done. But again, I treat it as any healthcare visit. And if you really need it, people are going to use protection, both for you and for the dentist and the staff.
Okay. Marlene wants to know, if we buy frozen food and stick it in the freezer, does the cold, kill the COVID-19 virus?
That's a great question. The COVID-19, again, prefers cold. It doesn't like cold, but it likes warm. It likes cold better than heat. So theoretically, it can live a little bit longer in those cold if you freeze the food. But again, food transmission is not a really big thing in COVID-19, particularly given our low community prevalence. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'd really just make sure that you keep your eyes on the prize, which is keeping your nose and mouth away from somebody else's nose and mouth. And even though I know we worry about all the things in our environment, I would just not worry about it too much if possible.
Keep your nose and eyes on the prize, okay, or away from the prize, however you want to look at it. I get what you're saying there. Good point. Okay, Vernon has a question. Are face masks with plastic transparent material effective protection? Have you seen a lot of that?
I've seen some advertised. I think depending on the model, there's some face masks which try to have a shield that go in from the top of the face mask up the eyes, and it gives you an extra layer of protection because it's protecting the eyes as well. But I think for everyday community use, I wouldn't worry about that too much. Again, it will be, what you don't want to have happen is you manipulate that because it's uncomfortable, it's getting to be summer, it's going to be hot and stuffy. And by manipulating that, it's probably worse than sort of keeping a comfortable mask on for a longer period of time.
All right, here's a question from a viewer. Would love to babysit my granddaughter, but my son-in-law is an essential worker. Should he be tested before I can babysit again? Yeah, this is why I don't ask my parents to babysit for me.
Yeah, that is tough. If there's somebody who's more at risk for exposure in the household, but you need to, get childcare, I think it's a reality for many people. There are some things that you can do. It's not an absolute yes or no, but maybe, again, thinking about risk reduction. Mm-hmm. Is there a place in the house that you can keep kind of cleaner, and, maybe the person who's the essential worker can stay away from that when they're home. You clean the surfaces. Maybe the babysitter, who's a family member, wears a mask as well as the kid. So those are all things that can reduce your risk a little bit. And I guess it's not a really hard, fast yes or no, because many people have different circumstances.
All right, Sandy wants to know, as a doctor, what are your thoughts about sending kids back to school? That's the next conversation.
I think everyone is scared that we're going to see a little, not a surge, but it's called a wavelet. After kids go back to school, we'll see a little uptick in cases. But I think kids have to go back to school sometime. I mean, they can't stay home all the time. I know a lot of parents are bored with playing board games with their kids and homeschooling and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if we have enough testing in the community and contact tracing, we'll be able to figure out if that uptick is due to that, you know, associated with that going back to school part.
All right. Hey, before we let you go, we do want to show something pretty cool. You guys celebrating your graduates. We're going to show that video and you can tell us about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Are these faculty showing off their moves to congratulate the class of 2020?
Yeah, the faculty were mainly there for entertainment purposes, but the students were the main dancers. You notice they all wore a different uniform. They didn't tell us, but they were all in black to identify who the real dancers were. And the faculty were in like various other things, mainly for entertainment purposes. It was really done by the juniors.
That's you, right? Oh, you tossed
in
your
the orange,
mask.
yeah. I'm being a little bit sassy with my mask and that.
I gotcha. Now, I got to ask you, for folks who don't know your background, I sense a little island flavor here in this video.
So I'm from the Caribbean originally, and even though I'm from, of Asian descent, but they're Asians who moved to the Caribbean. So I feel a little bit different influence in growing up, if that's what Kirsten is saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I bet you cook the most creative, interesting cuisine in your household. You got to post some pictures on social for us one of these days. But thank you so much for the great information today. And yeah, congratulations to your graduates. I'm sure they're going to go out there and do great work on their own and keep us.
And contribute to the workforce we need right now, actually, in California.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Actually, if you can stick around, we'll chat more during the commercial break. We'll take a short break on the air. All right, one last question for Dr. Peter Chin Hong. Let's see, find one here. Which one should we go with? Okay, here's one from Steve. And I know it's been asked before, but clearly a lot of people are still wondering, is it still necessary for us to wipe down, disinfect groceries or other things that we bring home or the boxes that arrive for us by delivery?
Yeah, so again, that gets back to what's the prize? The first thing is really keeping your nose and mouth away from somebody else's nose and mouth. The second thing is washing your hands. And if you did those two things alone a lot, you didn't have to worry about the other stuff. Because I think sometimes we think about these recommendations in a flat horizontal line, but actually they're hierarchical. So that's, I think it's a good thing, but I wouldn't go crazy over it.
Okay. Let's see, your overall message, weigh the risk benefit to you, right? Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. It's great seeing you as always. Let's chat again soon. Take care.
Definitely. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kristen.
All right, folks, hope you enjoyed today's program. We are coming toward the end of it, but it was really interesting for me personally hearing about some of the new vaccine potentials and also studies out of other countries with regard to reinfection, immunity, post-infection, really interesting stuff. And then also I had fun just talking to the lady in Yuba City, regardless of whether you agree that counties should already be open to this extent or not. They are doing it, and it won't be long before the Bay Area counties. It seems like it's about 4 weeks away maybe for our area. Interesting. So a lot of you are saying on Facebook right now that you would go to a salon, just taking the precautions of wearing masks and doing the social distancing. I hope we all do a lot of self-monitoring. So if we think we might be sick or have a fever, don't go, right? Stay home. Keep yourself safe. Keep others safe from you in those situations. All right, going back on air. That's going to do it for now. Thank you so much for joining us today on this interactive show, Getting Answers. We hope we got some of your answers today, got some insight as we took you inside a salon in Sutter County that's open now. And we also got a great information, a whole load of it from Dr. Peter Chin Hong of UCSF. Back here tomorrow at 3. Bye-bye. All righty, another show. Eric, I think Dr. Peter Chin Hong had some really good sound bites. And I can't remember them now, but thank you, Facebook friends. See you tomorrow.